The Labour Party's New Britain. During World War II, the Labour Party formed a coalition government with the Conservatives to create a united front against the Nazis. With Conservative Churchill as Prime Minister, the British eventually succeeded in overcoming the Nazi threat with the help of the Soviet Union and the United States. Although the British were victorious, they came out of the war battered. Britain had experienced massive air raids during the Battle of Britain, which destroyed many homes. As well, the nation was financially running out on fumes. Although Churchill was a war hero, British citizenry were tired of wartime austerity and were desperate for social reforms. Thus, they voted for the left-wing, reform-minded Labour Party. Churchill was shocked.
The inherent vice of capitalism is the unequal sharing of blessings. The inherent virtue of socialism is the equal sharing of miseries.
Hello, I'm Roy Campbell, a famous historian, and in this episode we will gain insights into the Labour Party's time in power during the post-war period. The Labour Party, led by Clement Attlee, sought to create a new Britain by reforming many areas of British life, including housing, industry, education, and healthcare. Although the Labour Party was indeed ambitious, one has to ask, how successful was Labour in achieving its utopian program, both in the short term and the long term?
Hello, I am Clement Attlee. Born in 1883, I grew up in a middle-class family and later went on to Oxford to become a lawyer. However, I later switched to social work, which influenced my political views to be largely about helping the poor and eventually led to me joining the Labour Party. My political career was interrupted when I fought in World War I, where I earned a reputation as an excellent leader as a major. When I returned, I really began to launch my political career. I was elected the leader of the Labour Party in 1935 and joined Churchill's coalition government after the resignation of George Lansbury. I held the position as party leader for 20 years. During this time, I won in a landslide victory for the election for Prime Minister over Churchill. This was a major surprise to Churchill, who had been expecting to win. I created many major Labour Party programmes after World War II, with assistance from the US's Marshall Plan. I saw Indian independence as the greatest achievement of the Labour government, Russia as its greatest problem, and the Berlin airlift as the most important operation in the face of that problem.
During the Labour Party's time in power, they had several major initiatives. For one, they promised a massive housing program. Many British homes had been destroyed during the air raids in the Battle of Britain. As well, many of the pre-war working-class homes were inadequate with no plumbing. Labour promised to build 5 million homes. They were moderately successful, building 1 million homes. Labour described this program as Homes for Heroes. As well, the Labour Party sought to nationalise the essential industry of England, which included coal, transportation, steel, and the Bank of England. They did this with the premise of making industry more efficient in Britain and being better able to mobilise resources. As well, they saw this as an integral effort in creating full employment. Although Labour was successful in nationalising essential industry, the intended effect failed. British industry became increasingly inefficient and uncompetitive internationally. Furthermore, Labour sought to create a welfare state by implementing vast social reforms. They wanted to create free compulsory education, unemployment insurance, and lower-class tax reform. Yet the centerpiece of their social program was the creation of the National Health Service, which provided free universal health care. However, the NHS eventually had to charge for some medical devices, such as false teeth and glasses. Labour was successful in the creation of these reforms, yet they proved to be incredibly expensive.
In the short term, the Labour Party's programs were successful because they helped Great Britain recover from the devastation of World War II. Historian Kenneth A. Morgan says in his book, some of the social and economic assumptions on which Beveridge and other pioneers had based their welfare schemes on had been proved to be over-optimistic. There have been steady, if slow, economic growth down to the 1970s. The national income had doubled since 1948. In the period from 1951 to 73, the average annual rate of growth was 2.3%. In the long run, however, these Labour Party programs were detrimental to the economy. These programs were initially made possible by the United States' generous contribution of about $12.5 billion. Ernest Bevin said in response to Molotov that debtors do not lay down conditions when seeking credits from potential creditors. Molotov had strongly urged the United States to clearly state how much money they were willing to give Europe. This money later ran out, resulting in higher taxes and Great Britain's withdrawal from their colonial commitments. This aspect of the fallout from these programs was especially negative because it left countries such as India to be left in disarray and poverty. Margaret Thatcher said of the Labour Party that no theory of government was ever given a fairer test or a more prolonged experiment in a democratic country than democratic socialism received in Britain. Yet it was a miserable failure in every respect. William I. Hitchcock points out another long-term effect of the Labour Party program. The Attlee government has been cursed for raising public expectations about the power of government to meet the needs of the people, while failing to adapt to the economic infrastructure to meet those demands. Finally, because Britain was short on funds, it was unable to maintain its colonial empire. Yet Clement Attlee presented this not as a failure, but as a success.
There is only one empire where, without external pressure or wariness of the burden of ruling, the ruling people has voluntarily surrendered its hegemony over subject peoples and has given them their freedom, where also the majority of the people so liberated have continued in political association with their former rulers. This unique example is the British Empire.